What's going on, everybody? Curtis Wilkerson with HawgSports.com, coming to you live from outside of Amalie Arena here in Tampa, where, wow, that probably wasn't necessarily what anybody was expecting. Arkansas drops an 82-64 game to Texas A&M. Hey, listen, first of all, credit to Texas A&M. They've been playing incredibly well. I don't think it's so much, losing to the Aggies today as it was the way Arkansas lost to them. I felt like this is maybe as poorly as Arkansas has played since they started to turn things around in January. I thought maybe the Aggies looked a little bit fresher than Arkansas, which is somewhat surprising, seeing as the Aggies have played 2 games in a row. They had an overtime game against Florida and then a battle against Auburn. That's 85 minutes of basketball in 2 days. And obviously Arkansas just had the 1 game against LSU, but it looked like the Aggies had a little bit more pep in their step than the Razorbacks, which was interesting. Eric Musselman said he thought the Razorbacks got outplayed and maybe outworked to loose balls, and I would agree. I think you saw that. It seemed like Arkansas was a little bit disjointed on both ends of the floor. Texas A&M was the more together team. That's the common theme that the players were saying in the post-game interviews. Both Audis Toney and Stanley Amude said that they thought Texas A&M was more together than the Razorbacks, and it showed. Disjointed offensively, some uncharacteristic live ball turnovers. Arkansas has been better as of late about avoiding some of those, but they struggled with them today. Only shot 3 of 18 from 3. That's really not a bad number in terms of attempts, but you want to make more than that. Arkansas got to the free throw line 18 times, but Eric Musselman said that's not enough in a game like this, and I would agree it was a physical game. I thought the officials were letting a lot of stuff go, but that wasn't the difference. Arkansas really struggled defensively. They've been so good the last couple months on the defensive end of the floor. Not so much today. They struggled to defend the 3, struggled against a small ball Texas A&M team. Arkansas tried to counter that by going big. It wasn't necessarily working out too well for them. So they went small, and they didn't get too much out of that either. So Texas A&M's a unique team in a big SEC where they play 4 guards. I thought it caused some matchup problems for the Razorbacks today. Some of my notes, 5 points out of J.D. Notae. Listen, that's not going to get it done in tournament play. Foul trouble played a big part in that. He got 3 in the first half. He had 2 with what was it, about 11 and a half minutes left in the first half, and Arkansas was really struggling on the offensive end of the floor, and they put him back out there in the first half, which Musselman typically doesn't do, but it almost felt like his hand was forced, and he did a pretty good job of avoiding, picking up that third one until about a minute and a half left in the first half. Picked up a cheap one defending Hayden Hefner, who quite honestly cooked him a little bit today, and Musselman alluded to that in his post game, that he didn't think JD's defense was anywhere near what it's capable of being. So you got to get more out of your all-conference, all-American guard than 5 points and some costly turnovers. Obviously would expect him to bounce back next time out in the NCAA tournament. Jalen Williams only had 4 points. He did have 9 rebounds, but I think he had 4 or 5 turnovers, which again was a little uncharacteristic for him. He just looked a little bit out of sorts against the Aggies. You thought he had back-to-back double-doubles against them in the 2 games that they played. So you would have thought maybe he would have, done a little bit better than he did today, but struggled against those small guards of Texas A&M. So when your big 2 are struggling, that puts you in a bind. But credit to a couple guys for stepping up and doing a good job. Stanley Amude, I thought, showed out. He had 20 points, hit some big 3-pointers, was tremendous on the defensive end of the floor. One of maybe the only guys for Arkansas who had a good day defensively. Audis Toney had 18 points again. He was his typical aggressive self around the rim. 6 of 9 from the floor, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. So those are some positives. Devo Davis had a rough one yesterday, bounced back a little bit today. He had 11 points off the bench, 5 of 11 from the floor. It didn't look great in the first half, but I thought he gave Arkansas a nice spark in the second half. You got to give Arkansas some credit for showing some resolve. They did fall down, 12 points at halftime. I think it was 36-24. Wasn't looking good, but they battled back, and with just over 12 minutes to go in the game, it was a one-possession game. It was 47-44, and you kind of felt like, all right, Arkansas is going to get this thing back under control. maybe they kind of weathered the storm and they're ready to take off now, but they couldn't string together stops, and that was the biggest thing. You know, Arkansas threw a few haymakers in that second half and made it a new ball game, but every time Texas A&M had the answer, whether it was knocking down clutch threes or just finishing, quite honestly, some ridiculously high difficulty shots around the rim through contact, circus shots off the top of the backboard, literally. Boy, they really had it falling for them today, and you know that's a buzzsaw. I said it yesterday. Texas A&M's a buzzsaw right now under Buzz Williams, and they proved it again today against Arkansas. You know, with an impressive performance, they'll get the winner of Tennessee and Kentucky. That game is going on as we speak here in Tampa. So, you know, Arkansas is going to have to regroup from this one. It kind of leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth going into the NCAA tournament. You know, admittedly, you could tell Eric Musselman was disappointed with the way they played, and he said it. You know, this is not the way Arkansas plays. It's not what they're all about, especially on the defensive end of the floor. So I would expect them to put in a lot of work between now and next week. And he didn't really want to talk about the NCAA tournament much, to be honest with you. He said, hey, I want to dissect this game. I want to break down a bunch of film. I want to get some clips to these guys. There's going to be a lot of it because there's a lot of room for improvement. And he knows they've got to get better because now, listen, it's survive and advance or go home. And the players were aware of that. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see the reactions tomorrow. Today was obviously disappointing. But listen, tomorrow's Selection Sunday, and Arkansas is going to learn their fate. They know that they're in the NCAA tournament. I think they're still pretty solid as a 4 seed, and you know, once you get in, hey, it's all about matchups. So they'll be excited for that. I'm looking forward to finding out where they're going and finding my next destination. It sure has been nice in Tampa, even though we had some thunderstorms and stuff today. I came out and it's a little windy right now, but the sun is out, which is nice. But I'm cutting a little bit short today because I got to get back to the hotel, pack up, hop a flight to St. Louis, get to Fayetteville for the selection show, and then we'll see where we're going. Maybe it's Buffalo. I don't know. I've been seeing a little bit more Milwaukee lately. Sign me up for that. So, you know, Milwaukee, better than Buffalo in my opinion. Maybe it's not quite as cold, but it's definitely not quite as far. And I think the Razorback fans will be able to travel a little bit easier for that. So disappointing day for the Razorbacks. You know, maybe humbled a little bit. I think this one's going to serve to motivate them and kind of get them regrouped before the NCAA tournament. Remember last year in Nashville, Arkansas lost a tough one in the SEC semifinals to LSU. They regrouped, they refocused, and they won 3 straight and made it to the Elite 8. All right, so yeah, maybe a little bit of a bad taste right now, but they've proven they can bounce back from these things before, and I expect them to do it again. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with HawgSports.com. I appreciate you guys following along. Next time you see me, I'll be somewhere, wherever the Razorbacks go. Hopefully it's going to be a long stay wherever they wind up. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always, and we'll talk to you next time.